Global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned. Hello, guys, welcome to Global Happenings today. We have a trending news here for you, and the headline of the news reads: Unbelievable. See the sacrifice Lawmaker is demanding from executive and legislature to make Nigeria work again. But before we go into details of this news and further analysis, we'd like to encourage you to please subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button and also on the bell icon so that you can get notification anytime we publish videos on YouTube. All right, let's look at the news in detail.
A Nigerian lawmaker, Bamidele Salam, has called for a massive cut in the cost of running the Nigerian government. Part of his recommendation is that federal lawmakers, who are currently about 469, be reduced by about two-thirds. Mr. Salam, who represents Ede North, Ede South, Egbedore, Ejigbo Federal Constituency, said this can be achieved by reducing the number of senators per state to one from 3, while the House of Representatives should be reduced to one-third of its current 360 members. He said the senators should also work on part-time basis. In practical terms, the Senate should be made up of one senator per state, meeting on part-time basis to confirm appointments, approve loans, emergency powers, and so on. While the House of Representatives should have only one-third of its present number sitting as a full-time parliament, Mr. Salam said. To further cut costs among the executive arm, states should not have more than 7 commissioners, while the federal government should have a maximum of 15 ministers. Truth is that we cannot afford what we are currently operating, but we are living in denial, he said. Mr. Salam made these observations while in an interview. I support all measures necessary to reduce our cost of governance and have more money for redevelopment. They may include a downward review of emoluments of public office holders, not just for lawmakers, but everyone holding a public office from the local to the federal level, Mr. Salam said. I have always been an advocate of leaner government at all levels. I believe our present structure is not only bogus, it is also inefficient. I am of the view that a constitutional amendment should be undertaken to restructure the Nigerian Federation to bring our institutions of governance in tune with our social, political, and more importantly, economic realities. A country with over 200 million population and terrible social and infrastructural deficit as ours should not be spending more than 70% of its annual budget on recurrent expenditure. It is simply not sustainable, and the place to start is from the size of our government. Proponent Mr. Salam's view has added another echo to the call for a restructuring of governance in Nigeria. One of his colleagues in Senate, Rojas Okorocha of Imo West Senatorial District, made similar remark last October. Like Mr. Salam, Mr. Okorocha argued that the total number of federal lawmakers should be reviewed to 146 from the current 469 to 109 senators for the current 360 representative members. But this is what Okorocha said. Okorocha said, what are 3 senators doing that one senator cannot do? Mr. Okorocha asked, and Ms. Momo in the House. Here we have 3 senators per state. In that National Assembly, House of Representatives, over there we have 360 eligible human beings. This country must begin to make sacrifices and cut down the cost of governance. Barely a week after Mr. Okorocha mounted this stance, Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi broadened the debate. Mr. Fayemi called for unicameral legislature by scrapping of the Senate, saying what is needed is the House of Representatives. You have 3 senators from Little Ekiti and you have 3 senators from Lagos State. It's a no-brainer that it's unequal. I guess the principle is not proportionality, but that if you are a state, you get it automatically. But I think that we can do away with that. There are several things that we can do away with within the government, he said. Section 48 of the Constitution provides for 3 senators from each of the 36 states of the Federation and 1 from FCT, totaling 110. Also, Section 49 provides for 360 members of the House of Representatives elected from the constituency, each state of the Federation. Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi, therefore only a constitutional amendment can lead to the kind of reform sought by aforementioned proponents. But the opponents are saying, aware that the debate was gaining traction, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, countered the call for unicameral legislature. He said that the improvement in the productivity of lawmakers is what should be sought, not single parliamentary house, which could infringe the representation of the ethnic minorities in the country. Nigeria has consciously adopted to have a bicameral National Assembly. It is because of who and what we are. The diversity of Nigeria and ethnic composition of the country requires that we have a system that provides justice, equity, and fair play. It is a conscious decision and designed to ensure that everybody is represented in the country. We need bicameral legislature in Nigeria, Mr. Lawan explained. The Senate president did not, however, counter the call for reduction in the number of senators per state.
All right, thank you very much. And this is a good one coming from a senator. This one time around is not coming from an outsider, but it's coming from a senator. And it's better they say it in the house than, to the media, because most of the time when they say it just to the media alone, it's as if they have been talked into saying it, or maybe they are coerced into saying it. And this time it's really, really important. It must be, of immense importance, especially during this period where we are expecting constitutional amendment. Nigerians are tired of seeing the administrative cost more greater than developmental costs. These are some of the things that we must look at. How can you have a project, and in that project the administrative cost is far higher than the activities expected to bring the development? It's overly important. It's something that must be considered, and that's why I want to say kudos to the lawmaker who made this statement, because before now Rocha Sokorocha came up and told Nigerians that we have too many lawmakers, and possibly I understand why he was talking about it, though there's a lot of what we may call massive ethnic composition in Nigeria, so we need representation in the Senate. But you realize that some of the so-called senators and the lawmakers are overly inactive. They just go, they sit down, representation is zero for their own people. They sit down, collect their money, and walk away. I think that was the reason why he had to make that suggestion. But all the same, I think that those in leadership position must consider all of that. Suggestion also came from different quarters when this statement was made. I'm going to read one of the responders, and I think we're going to just be talking about this. One said there is no need to reduce them. Just make what they are earning equal with what teachers are earning. That we can have equal representation. Anybody who wants to have so much, and I want to stand with this guy here, because honestly, I think this suggestion is really, really the best. If you look at some of our governors, look at some of our so-called leaders. For example, go to maybe presidency, down to the vice president, the senate, the ADs alone. How can somebody, these are some of the things that we have to look at. How can a special assistant to the governor on social media have a special assistant to the special assistant to the governor on social media?
Senior special assistant
again, so you realize that the cost of administrative cost becomes very high because of all of this. So what this guy is saying is that don't take food out of their mouth, because it's important. They are feeding a family. There's a sub units that they are taking care of, but then let's downsize that money that they are earning on a daily basis. It's really important.
If they say you should reduce it to third, the question is who's going to leave? It will not be a do or die affair.
Yeah.
I was actually looking at it too, that if they do it that way, that means whoever that will sit on that seat, they will gun is small. They will carry bazooka. It will be a case of terrorists. You are not going to hire thugs. We will hire terrorists on the day of election. because you must go in.
Yes.
Because now the slots are smaller. But
Yeah.
if you make it as unattractive as possible, you can imagine if the teacher is also earning how much, you to your earning teacher salary. Why do you want to go and carry dog? How much are you going to pay dog? How much is your salary? Do you understand? You make it so unattractive, but let everybody be represented, because I could still remember this issue of hate speech would have passed effortlessly
in the Senate.
If there was no House of Representative
Yeah.
that counted it. So
Yeah.
if it was unicameral, would have been in trouble.
Yeah,
Right
exactly.
now, it would have been a case of rubber stamp. Don't worry, we'll finalize. Nigerians are just talking that we
Yeah.
will finish with rubber stamp it. But if they had done it, there's a House of Rep countering it, they're checking them, so that for there to be a successful amendment, House of Rep have to agree with them in all totality. So they have their roles they're playing. But I also feel that what that guy said is, to me, is very correct. Reduce that, crash it down.
Okay. Well, now it's also good to crash it down. It's reasonable to crash it down. But at the same time also, because we need to create a balance here, at the same time, you have to also look at the fact that these guys are presiding over national issues. They are presiding over big budgets, and that is one of the things that Sheyi Makinde talked about, that it may, to some extent, generate some high level of corruption. Because imagine me having to earn very little, then find myself giving appointment or maybe reviewing contracts that give as much as 100 billion naira to a single individual who did not put much effort in governance. It will to some extent trigger some level of corruption. It will be a case of, before I give this contract to you, whether you are qualified or not, you have to give me a kickback. You need to agree to my terms. You need to give me 40% of the money and all of that. So to some extent it may cause some issues. So we have to create a balance here, making it as low as that of teacher salaries may to some extent trigger this thing, corruption.
I feel let's put the right foundation first.
Okay.
Before we do that reduction, let's put this law. They should pass it as bill and make it into law. Corrupt leaders be jailed,
okay, or hang or something.
Death by hanging, to really dissuade them. They will kind of, after a while, when there's so much cry for Nigerians saying that they want to pass it into law, if they eventually consider doing that.
Okay.
Now, what they do that then, all the kickbacks too. If you're taking kickbacks, you are giving projects, you don't perform them, you return back all the monies, and both the person who's doing the contract, who didn't do it well, the contract, who didn't do it well, and you will languish in jail. Once that is passed into law, crash their salary.
Okay.
So you just find out that naturally nobody will come. In fact, on the day of election, it will be free and fair.
Okay.
Even INEC will be begging people to come and enter. Please now, nobody want to enter senatorial seats. Who is taking senatorial, not senatorial district? People will be begging. Even teachers will now, because at least those ones, their salaries are enough for. They don't have anywhere to steal before. You can imagine being tempted with so much money, knowing full well that this is death by hanging if you steal. You will just. So those who are conscientized just come in.
And who are ready to offer service. Yeah.
Yes, you come in.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is true. But
the challenge is who will do it.
Okay. But at the same time, I still solicit for a little upgrade in their salary, because it's very important. Because why I'm saying a little upgrade. Oh, okay. There's another point I want to add here. It's a case of, if the salary will be reduced, let there be a reasonable reward for them when they have finished their tenures. They should successfully. Merely you finish your tenure successfully, there should be a reasonable package that they will take home.
Yes, and some sort of packages too, like if they got kids, all those allowances for your children, how many children
should
do you
still
have,
be there.
Paying of their children's school fees, accommodation. Then once you successfully finish your tenure without then there will be a pension package that is far different from all other parastatals that will make you distance. And when you retire knowing fully well that your retirement is well taken care of.
Exactly.
So you want to serve with all your heart.
Exactly.
So I feel that's where it should come in. But the challenge we are going to have right now is who will pass this bill.
Yeah, but Nigeria, one of the things I know we have in our fingertips, or we have as a weapon in our hand, is social media. The more we press on and also have a roundtable talk with our representative in different facets of government, we keep pressing it will be considered. The reason why I'm saying is that this hate speech stuff, how did it happen? And that constitutional amendment is happening soonest. And if Nigerians keep on pressing, the constitutional amendment is not something that's just done by one set of people. A lot of people will be invited to be there, and a lot of them will air their opinion and give reasons why certain things must be done the way they feel it should be done. And I feel that at that point, it may be enshrined into the constitution. So just let's keep pressing on and being hopeful.
You are talking about Senate's situation. We want to be very practical. This is Nigeria. An average politician in Nigeria is corrupt. Now, if you say they should change the bill or they should amend the bill, so you want them to shoot themselves in the leg? So you make let's I want us to be as real as possible. Except those who will bring that into law is going to be those who have checked themselves. Okay, because if you say you're going to bring that into law, they will, once it's passed into law, they will start from areas.
No, they won't start from Andreas.
Except if they're going to bring it into law and
Maybe
say start from that day.
Yeah.
When you say okay, catch all criminals and all that, it's going to cost a lot of things because they need to check themselves. A whole lot of them are guilty. So you don't pass something that you shoot yourself in the leg. So sometimes we play around it. These guys, they want to put me in trouble. Can you imagine this Nigerians, they want to put somebody in trouble. You don't play around it or you don't do it.
Or
and it's not in your time.
Maybe, yeah, exactly. Just say in the next from 2023 dispensation, this is what will be obtainable. All right, we've discussed a lot about this. I will also want to get your own opinion. Go to our comment section, let us interact. What's your position on this? Do you think that this may actually be enshrined into the constitution after the constitutional amendment? Please, let's discuss.